Hello and welcome to our program. Here I am with my Eskimo friend, Mike Sobola, and we want to talk about cold weather flying.
Yeah, it's why I have this garb on.
Yeah.
It's just kind of in the theme. I like getting in the spirit of things.
In the spirit, right.
And it's a little cold in this room, too. It's chilly. It is. Cold weather flying. What do you need to know? I mean...
So, well, let's start with battery power, because I think that's the main one. So other than, shorter endurance and all of that, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But let's talk about keeping your batteries at a normal, quote unquote, temperature until you're ready to fly. So whether it's summer or winter, throw them in a cooler.
That's what I like to do. In the winter, I put it in, or in the summer, I put in, some ice packs to keep everything a little bit cooler. And then in the summer, I throw some hand warmers in there.
Hand warmers?
Mm-hmm.
No. I fill up a sock with rice. Tie it up, put it in the microwave, heat it up for 2-3 minutes, and you got it.
And then you also have lunch later on.
And you have lunch later
Rice
on.
And beans. Yeah, okay. But I don't have a microwave in the field, so I think my way works best.
My rice.
Besides, the hand warmers double as hand warmers if you need extra hand warmers. You pull them out of the
rice. The rice.
The rice. Okay, great. Rice. I got it. Of course, you need gloves and things that you can actually operate your drone with, because I've tried all kind of gloves, the gloves with the touch screen, nothing works. I find I need to actually touch the controls to make that work. So I use gloves such as these, which are mittens when you get cold. You can also cover up your fingers and thumb and stuff, but when you really need them, they're there, of course. And then this little contraption that kind of works nicely.
Kind of, because it's at least the wind is not hitting your hands, right?
Which is the big thing.
Right, and by the way, I also take my gloves off to fly, but when I'm not flying, I put the hand warmers inside of the glove, especially the top part, to keep my hands warm. This at least is a good windbreaker for your hands.
So yeah, the controller goes in here.
It goes in there. The antennas go
stick out the back side, and you can see what you're doing. The picture and everything is right here, and you're able to fly protected from the wind and the cold to some degree.
Exactly.
I find a lot of times it's a slight wind makes it so much colder, and just breaking the wind with this helps dramatically. And you can also put a hand warmer in here if you want. Hand warmers.
Absolutely. So, don't forget to dress warmly. I mean, that goes without saying, but you'd be surprised. I mean, we've hired people as visual observers that come dressed completely inappropriately for the wind and the cold. So make sure that you wear a warm jacket, dress in layers, and that sort of thing. But let's discuss battery endurance. As you know, in the cold, the battery will last less. So instead of bringing your drone back when the battery is at 30% or 25%, depending on the drone, right? I would increase those percentages to a little bit higher number just in case, especially if it's windy. I mean, you don't really want to be out of battery when your drone is not home yet, especially when the battery is lasting less than what you thought it would.
And if you've ever flown in the cold, you've probably gotten the little warning on your I know DJI app has it. It tells you that your battery life will be degraded in a certain temperature. So it knows, it kind of senses the temperature, and it says, hey man, it's too cold out here for me, so be careful.
It does, and in some occasions I have had my drone not take off until the battery warms up enough so that it can function properly. So it's actually spending more energy doing that just to warm it up to start the drone. So.
And besides the drone, your body actually has, of course, problems with the cold if it gets too cold.
Does.
I know that I'm particularly adverse to the cold, so I bundle up.
That makes two of us.
I find myself being affected. My shots being affected. So if I'm doing something that's very highly technical, such as cinematography shots that are very difficult maneuvers, it's hard to execute those because you're cold, your hands are numb, you're starting to get, just your whole physiology is being affected, and at some point you start shivering, and then you're shaking everything. So then you gotta keep an eye on that, and not only for your shots, but of course for your health. There are certain things that'll happen. Of course, you could die if you get too cold.
Right. And don't forget, as the remote pilot in command, you are also in charge of your crew. make sure that nobody is suffering any kind of undue stress due to the cold. So.
Right, and stress is a major factor. If you think back to your 107 test days, it talks about that aviation physiology, the effects of weather, all that on the body is very important in the summer or the winter. And your skills are degraded, your senses are degraded, and it can be dangerous. And your time outside and your time in concentration are affected. And you are flying an aircraft in the sky over, essentially not directly over people, but over things. And you want to make sure you're all fully in control and know what's going on at all times.
Absolutely.
And cold can dramatically affect that. So you got to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
I guess that's it.
I think that's it.
Just a short tip today.
It's a short tip today. Okay, guys, don't forget to hit like if you liked it and hit subscribe. See you next time. Thank you.
Bye-bye.